I've touched on in the past why the handstand push-up is the best exercise to build up your upper body, and I still stand by that. But the one big downside to the handstand push-up is just the sheer difficulty of the exercise. Even though you are resting your feet on the wall and stabilizing that way, it still requires a large amount of strength to push your body up and down off the floor. Pressing from the floor is the easiest variation, but because of the limited range of motion, it's a subpar movement for hypertrophy. Because in most cases, and a lot of the science now will show that an extended range of motion is the best for hypertrophy. So the deeper you go in an exercise, the more muscle gains you'll get out of that exercise. Now on the flip side of that, a full range of motion handstand push-up where your hands touch your shoulders or your clavicle area, that is a fantastic exercise for hypertrophy. But depending on your strength level, where you start off with, it can take you months or even years to build up to get one full rep of a handstand push-up full range of motion. Now, if you ask me, that's a lot of time spent training to get subpar hypertrophy results when your efforts could be spent elsewhere, getting good hypertrophy results and still building up that strength to get a full range of motion handstand push-up. And that is where the Pike push-up comes into play. The Pike push-up is a variation of the handstand push-up, so it trains all the same muscles involved, the shoulders, the triceps, and some of the upper chest, but it is a noticeably easier variation to perform. It allows you to pump out more reps, get more practice in that plane of motion overhead, and it is a lot more scalable in terms of difficulty compared to the regular handstand push-up. Now the handstand push-up only allows you to adjust the difficulty in one way, and that's by increasing or decreasing your range of motion. Whereas the Pike push-up, you can do it that way, but also you can adjust the height of your feet to increase or decrease the difficulty. So the higher your feet are propped up, the more difficult the exercise will be, and the lower your feet are, the more easy the exercise will be. So no matter where you start off in terms of your strength level, anyone can do the Pike push-up in some form. Now you'll notice with the Pike push-up, over some time, or even now for some people, depending on their strength, you'll have to increase the range of motion with a deficit, because pushing off the floor with a Pike push-up is very, very easy in terms of strength required. Pretty soon, or even now, you'll be pumping out sets of 20 plus reps. So I strongly advise moving to a deficit variation as soon as you can. Now with the deficit and the Pike push-up, eventually you want to build up to a full range of motion where your hands are touching your shoulders. On first glance, this can look like a difficult thing to do, but I strongly believe literally anyone can build up to the full range of motion Pike push-up, just because it's a very forgiving exercise compared to the handstand push-up, which is a very tough variation. Now in terms of the feet and leg position, you want to build up to a height where at the top of the range of motion, when your elbows are locked out, your legs are parallel to the floor. So if you can imagine, you'll be like an upside down L shape. So this is your legs, this will be your torso here. And then from there, you just pump out the reps. You want to build up to a way you can do around 15 to 30 reps in your sets. Now that's quite a large range I've given you, but depending on your body structure, your ling lengths and other genetic factors, it's going to vary from person to person, the amount of reps they need to be able to obtain in order to carry over to a handstand push-up effectively. But to play it safe, just aim for around 20 reps per set, and I'm pretty sure that will have very good carryover to the handstand push-up. A technique cue I'll give you is when you're performing the rep, you want to push your body in as much of a vertical position as possible. Our main goal here is to hypertrophy the shoulders, so you want to keep the position strict as you can through the whole range of motion, like you would do with a free weight or a machine shoulder press. Now training for the freestand handstand push-up, where your feet aren't on the wall, you're just doing a handstand in the air and then you do a push-up, that's a different story. You want to do the Pike push-up in more of an arcing motion, so you want to come slightly forward almost like a really high incline press. You want to train it that way because that closely replicates the groove of a freestand handstand push-up. If you notice people doing it, they sort of push up in a diagonal motion like this instead of going straight up and down. But our goal here is strictly shoulder hypertrophy, so we want to go as vertical as we can. Now you can throw the pike push-up anywhere you want into your session, the beginning, the middle or the end. Personally, I throw them in near the end because I just don't care that much about growing my shoulders as of yet. But because of the low strength requirements of the pike push-up, I can still perform an effective amount of reps in a fairly fatigued state, so I don't have to worry about undertraining or even losing gains in my shoulders. So that's everything I have to say on the pike push-up. There is a bit of a learning curve with this exercise because your body is in an awkward position when you're doing the press. It does take some practice to get used to, but after a couple of weeks, if you practice it enough, you'll get the hang of it in no time. So just throw it into your routine anywhere you want. So with that being said, try it out for yourself and see how you go from there. Until next time, peace.